Margaret called me and we set everything up. I think I met her one time before her wedding day for engagement photos. And I grabbed the best man, or the maid of honor, I think, and I asked one of them if they could hang back so that they could drive the bride and groom to the reception. And Margaret heard me asking them, and she was like, well, it doesn't matter, we'll just jump in the back of the truck. And I was like, I don't know, you're in a white dress. And she's like, no, it really doesn't matter, we'll just jump in the back. Like, they came all this way, we want them to get to go party. And I was like, okay. And so sure enough, after our photos, Margaret just jumped in the back in her white dress, and it got a little bit dirty on the bottom, and her hair was down and curly, and it got like a little windblown, but she just did not care. I would say that couple was a huge inspiration for my entire career. One of the first things I remember about walking into their home was that photo of them from their wedding day in the pickup truck, and it was blown up in their home. And it was just so cool to see that. And we started talking about the picture, and she was telling me, there was this one other picture that you had taken at my wedding day that I loved the most. It was our two dogs at the time, and they were in the front and in focus, and then me and Brad were in the background, kind of blurry, and wondering maybe we could take that picture again and have the two dogs and Olivia in focus, and then me and Brad would be in the background. And I was like, oh, that's such a sweet idea, of course, like, let's definitely do that. I remember she was listening and smiling, and then there was a pause, and she said, well, I have to be honest with you, we almost got divorced. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it was really hard after having our child, and just all the challenges we went through, figuring her out, and just our own relationship afterwards. And I remember sitting there thinking, Margaret, like, you can't get divorced. Like, don't be selfish. Think about your wedding photographer here and like what it would do to her. I get very invested in my couples, and I follow along with their lives, and a lot of them I still do the family photography for them now years later after their wedding. And so kind of hearing that news and remembering the conversation I had with Margaret about how hard marriage was and how they worked through it kind of inspired this entire project, where I thought I could go back to these couples, I could offer them a photo like I had done for Margaret, where we would recreate this one moment at the same location as their wedding day, but with where they are now.
Have a distinct memory. So it was the Halloween party. Do you remember whose house it was at? It was at, and I was dating somebody else at the time. I remember walking up to the house with Justin, and he was by himself standing on the porch smoking a cigarette. But I distinctly remember seeing him, and again, at that moment, it was like this, like, I don't want to say there was like an aura around him, but, it was one of those like, hello. Take me back to the night we met. That was one of my biggest issues, is there was so much resentment because he can fall asleep. I shit you not, in like 5 seconds.
That part of it was hard for me too, from my perspective, because like she used to, like, we'd get up in the morning and she'd just be pissed at me immediately, like as soon as we're up, because of this. And I'd be like, but I didn't do anything. Like,
no matter what I do, you're going to scream. So I'm going to strap you to me. So at least I have my hands so I can do the dishes. I remember wanting to do the dishes. And she fell asleep in like 15 seconds. I remember texting Brad being like, I think we have a miracle. And that was that moment where I was like, I think we're okay.
like, yeah, we get annoyed with each other and fight and all of that. But she's the only person that I know that I'm totally fine with spending 24 hours a day with all the time. Like even through all of this COVID and all of that. Like
I'm very anxious. I worry all the time. He keeps me from like spiraling out of control. And so that has always been, one of my favorite things about him.
So she's just very compassionate and caring, and probably more so, I think, than anybody that I've ever met.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now.
The time we actually spoke was when you were helping them move. My sister and brother-in-law were moving out of their apartment and their pool store, and he came to help them move. Damn.
Do you think I really wanted to help them move?
Really?
Now you're thinking.
Wait, you just came over to help them to see me?
Well, why not?
No.
Yeah, I know. I want to move half your store. I'll be right over.
This is the first time I
CJ, your sister-in-law, gonna be there? Yep.